Hello and welcome to another Rio how-to. And today's how-to is how to understand the leader and tippet world, because it's quite confusing. There's lots of different materials out there, there's lots of different assets these materials have, and you can go into a shop and see piles of tippet and you have no idea what leader or tippet to choose, except you just choose something that says 5x. Well, this whole video is really an in-depth look at how materials differ and why you should choose one type of material over another type of material. And we're going to start off by talking very simply about what is called the rule of 11. And the rule of 11 is this number 11. And that means that you take the number x, which in this case says 1x, with the diameter in inches, in this case it says 10,000ths of an inch, and when you add those two together, you get the number 11. So the x plus the diameter equals 11. That's what the rule 11 means. Take this example, take a 4x for example here, and 11 minus 4 is 7,000. So this tells me this is a 7,000ths of an inch diameter. And one good way of kind of thinking about it is to take a loaf of bread. Imagine you have a loaf of bread and you've only got 11 slices in it, right? And the kid comes home and makes a jam sandwich and takes away 2 slices and now he's got 9. And then your daughter takes another 2 and then you've got 2 more gone, so 4 have gone, you've got 7, right? So whenever you take away, it still started off with 11. And x's are the same thing. The tippet world generally in the US revolves around the word x. Generally, in the continent, you would have the millimeters, right? So you could say this is 254 millimeters. You could also say this is 15 pound in strength or 6.8 kilograms. So there's loads of ways of describing this one single material. And what we want to do is tie all that in to make it very simple and relevant. And the x and the rule of 11 is the simplest way. So keep thinking of that. Rule of 11, whatever your x is, take it away from 11, and that's your diameter in thousandths of an inch. And why that's important to know, well, let's take 2 materials that are exactly the same diameter. Here is the same material I keep showing you, the 1x. As you can see, it says 15 pound. That's how strong the tensile strength is. And our tensile strength is basically the strength this will break at with no knots. That is the strength of this material itself. So this has a 15 pound tensile strength on its own. And it's 10,000ths of an inch, or 1x. This material is also 10,000ths of an inch. Same diameter, but it breaks at 8 pounds. So it's almost half the strength of the PowerFlex Plus here. Same diameter. So why on earth is that? Well, one reason that you should be aware of that is because a lot of people, when they're talking about leader and tippet sizes, say, oh, I was using a 5 pound tippet or a 5 pound leader. And you can have 5 pound material that's as thick as my finger or as thin as a hair. And they both break at 5 pounds. So the strength isn't just the one thing you should be considering. You should tie that strength in with a relationship to its diameter to get a full picture of the material. And why that's significant hinges on this, the flies you fish. If you were to put on one of these heavyweight streamers that I've got in that box, and you were to attach a streamer to that box, and you were to tie that streamer to my hair, and that hair was 9 foot long, and you flip that hair and you're trying to move that streamer, you have no chance of that happening. That hair is too thin and too flimsy to make that work, right? And so that is a bad choice of material for a heavy streamer like this. For a heavy streamer, I'd want my material to be as thick as my finger. Not literally, but as a guideline, so that when I move, there's so much weight and strength and stiffness in this, it moves that streamer. That is a perfectly balanced leader tippet with fly. On the other end of the scale, you might fish a small dry fly, you might fish a soft tackle, you might fish some little nymphs or something like that in this small size scale like that. And these smaller flies don't want that stiff material, right? Because when you cast your fly out and you have small flies like that, you want them to move naturally in the current, or as naturally as possible in the current. And the stiffer that thing is tied to, then the less movement there is. So when you fish really small flies, you want the much more supple materials than when you're fishing streamers. So a lot of that choice boils down to what type of fly it is. And again, as I said, that is very important to know because you want to relate that to the X and the pound correlation. Let's have a little look at some examples here. PowerFlex Plus, that's our general purpose, all-round, high tensile strength, high knot strength, just a good all-round material. If you just want a general purpose, the best material we've got that does everything, probably go with your PowerFlex Plus. It'll cast small, medium streamers pretty well, okay. It'll cast tiny dries and well, again, okay, and give you a pretty good presentation. But if you're going to specialize in certain aspects of fly fishing, there's a material here we call Suppelflex. Suppelflex is a very, very soft material. It's the supplest material we make. So if you're fishing dry flies, tiny little emergers and soft tackles in the current like that, you want the supplest movement, then the Suppelflex is a much better option. And then if you're going down the pool a little bit further and you go into those heavy streamers we showed you here, then we have a medium stiff nylon. That's this stuff, it's called Big Nasty. It's just a medium stiff nylon. It's far less strong than the Suppelflex and the Powerflex Plus. I mean, look at this diameter, this is 12 thousandths. That's my loaf of bread plus an extra slice. Think how thick that thing is. So it's a lot thicker, and it only breaks at 10 pounds. It's not as strong, but that's strong enough for trout, right? Streamer fishing, 10 pounds, strong enough for trout. And what I've done by going to that thicker diameter, I have a much more stiffness in that leader. Therefore, it turns those streamers over much better, gives a better presentation of streamers. The same thing applies in leaders, right? I just picked up the material here. It's in the Tippet spools. So when you're fishing leaders, if you're fishing a leader with a streamer like this, and this is a Big Nasty, same material as the Tippet material there, just a medium stiff. It's not going to have a high tensile strength, but it has that stiffness needed. If you're going to fish Suppelflex, because you've got tiny emergers and soft tackles, again, super supple, great for presentation, lousy with a heavy fly. So it's not designed for that. So in the whole world of leader and tippet, there is a skew of them. There's massive different materials out there, but just understanding, and I said the first thing is to understand, always look at that diameter to strength relationship, because that gives you all the clues at how successful that's going to be. And generally speaking, the thicker it is with the less strength, the stiffer it is, the better it is for casting big flies like streamers and terrestrials. So hopefully you learned something on today's how-to episode, and hopefully you've got a clue of what leader and tippet material to go out there. And hopefully you enjoy this episode. Many thanks for watching this how-to.